Welcome to the Coalition, JC. I might as well start using your code name. Think I'd miss my brother's first day? Paul. I thought you were a bomb.
Hey everyone, I'm Jord, and today we're gonna talk about bombs. The Pokemon franchise is no stranger to explosives. Anyone who's played the Generation 1 games will instantly get Vietnam flashbacks when coughing or Voltorb were brought up, and for a good reason. They're round, they're simple, and they explode in your face. But designing an exploding Pokemon is often more about making the design imply the explosion than making the mon itself an actual bomb. In fact, I've seen some redesigns that turn them into actual bombs, and that's completely missing the point. It's a design regression. You can't just take the exploding Pokemon and turn it into an actual bomb. Every good design has some sort of statement in it, an extra layer that makes it more interesting than just being the thing. Imagine how boring it would be if Pidgey or Pidove were just the Pidgeon Pokemon with no extra frills attached and never evolved. If you just take a bomb as is, you can grab any round Pokemon, slap a lit fuse on it, and boom! Instant bomb Pokemon. There are 6 primary types of iconic explosives we can work with. The Looney Tunes bomb, the Dynamite Stick, the Grenade, the Rocket, C4 timed bombs, and the A-bomb. Pokemon's relation to weapons has always been a little strange. The anime featured people with real guns in some of the first season's episodes, but once the creators caught on to Western sensibilities and censorship practices, those quickly disappeared. There's a reason there are no modern weapon Pokemon, no Pokemon Gun edition, and even Intelligent's sniper rifle is actually some kind of weird finger gun thing? Well, my goal isn't to create fakemon that perfectly emulate the official art style. I think making a gun or rocket Pokemon would be a little too far outside the scope of what's acceptable in Pokemon design. And YouTube's user policy too, probably. Maybe another time. Because of this, and because the Looney Tunes bomb is the most ingrained in modern culture, and the only one of the 6 that's really considered family-friendly enough to really fit into Pokemon, that's what we're sticking with today. So, now that we've chosen our explosive, what if I do want to literally make my Pokemon a bomb? We'll have to dig a bit deeper and find additional layers you can add onto it. Even if we don't make the first evolutionary stage super interesting, if we make the evolutionary line as a whole interesting, I think it can still work pretty well. And that's how I approached it.
Now that you mention it. Wait a minute, this isn't right.
What isn't?
Oh my god, JC, I'm a bomb!
A bomb. Let's go.
We'll start with Shroomish. Simple enough. It's a shroom, a bomb goes boom, slap them together and you get Boomish. Shroomish already has the theme of exploding since it releases spores, and its body shape looks a bit like a Bob-omb from Mario, so we have an easy base to work off. The difficult part with a design this simple is actually in maintaining that sort of tightness, since there's so little to work with. Every element, every decision, every mistake has a massive impact. I fiddled around with a fuse, the top of its head, the shape of the dress, and it took a decent amount of work to find a happy middle ground between the Shroomish aspect and the bomb, the Boomish. I tried adding a skull pattern on it, but it completely overwhelmed the design, so I settled with giving it an anime blush and a furrowed brow to show it's a little bastard.
Boomish, the explosive Pokemon. Boomish like to live in dark forests, as they hate sunlight and thrive on noxious spores. They use their glowing bodies to lead travelers astray, and love to terrorize weaker Pokemon by playing cruel pranks on them. Boomish is brash and confident despite being incredibly weak. Their devilish personalities are notoriously hard to keep in check, and many trainers' attempts to tame them have blown up in their face. The flame on top of Boomish's head burns perpetually. When the fuse is used up, Pokemon is ready to evolve.
Breloom started out as a pencil sketch, and right off the bat I knew exactly where I want to go with it. Or so I thought. It turns out making a bomb kangaroo is harder than it looks. This is where that extra layer I was talking about comes into play. I wanted to lean into the idea of bombs as a cartoon icon, and used Wile E. Coyote as my primary reference. I also tried to allude to Spy vs. Spy, if any of you viewers even have a clue what that is. Breloom specifically is kind of a case study for why you need to organize your workflow and approach it the correct way. The recording ends when I thought the design was finished, but then I showed it to my friends. And all of them said it looks fat. Really, really fat. To a degree that almost ruins the design.
Your meme, sir.
So I fiddled around with the proportions and accidentally flattened Breloom, as in the layers inside of a file, with no backup in sight. If you merge your layers, for God's sake, make sure you have a backup. I've learned this the hard way, and I still keep making this mistake from time to time. You tell yourself, I'll just make some tiny changes, and boom. Just like that, it's over. Still, it could be worse. I kept working on the flat layer, and it turned out fine, all things considered. I made some changes to the color because it looked too flat, and I played around with its hat and tail until I reached a point I was more or less happy with. One of my friends told me I should add grooves to the hat, and I tried that, but it kind of ended up looking like a Team Galactic grunt hairstyle.
Breboom, the wildfire Pokemon. Breboom is a chronic arsonist, and its territory is marked by constant forest fires. It uses young Boomish as makeshift weapons, and it prefers not to use its own attacks if it can. Its devious nature becomes even worse when it evolves, and it has an explosive temper that can flare up at a moment's notice. Breboom that are caught in the wild can never be tamed, but the sheer power they possess is enough to make up for this in the eyes of many trainers.
I wonder what's inside. Oh well, I'm sure no one will mind.
Not every design is a success story, at least not initially. I tried to redesign Clamperl as a bomb, and I wasn't really happy with how it was turning out. But first, let's break down Clamperl's design. Clamperl's body is composed of 3 primary elements: the pearl, a cushion, and the shell. Each of these also has its own specific intricacies. The head has 2 large shut eyes that are far apart and a small mouth, making it look like a baby, and the shell is a very hard geometric shape with a number of indents and a white rim. This is very relevant when redesigning a mon, as you always have to think how much of the original you will keep and how much you will change. When you change or keep an element, you need to think about its silhouette, color, and to some degree its thematic implications. There are no hard numbers, but I think Clamperl can work as long as you keep at least 2 of the 3 design elements, though keeping all 3 is still ideal. If you do, it'll still look like Clamperl even if you push each individual component far. Really far. My original intention was to invoke a sort of Looney Tunes feeling. A ridiculous scenario of someone opening a suitcase expecting money or something valuable to be inside, but then just finding a bomb. The idea seemed sound at first, evoke the luxury feeling of Clamperl's design and mix it with something more goofy, but the more I thought about it, the more sinister it seemed. A bit too realistic in a bad way. Definitely not the kind of imagery Pokemon would want to invoke in a child's mind, I don't think. The design never really managed to break the barrier of realism and become a cartoon because I didn't push it hard enough. So I did. I revisited the design several days later and tried to make it look as ridiculous and cartoony as I could. And it worked, actually. The stupid face and goofy setup were enough to sort of disarm the design. I also finally added a lit fuse. I thought it doesn't make sense for a bomb to be lit inside a suitcase, but without it the visual gag simply did not work, and it instead looked like a Christmas decoration. Elodin also pointed out the suitcase shape is too bland. That was my original intention, but after changing the silhouette, I have to admit it just looks better that way. And more importantly, it looks like Clamperl. So really this design is a lesson about perseverance. If you chip away at a design long enough, there's a good chance you'll manage to crack it eventually. But it takes time, sometimes a lot of time and hard work. If you like this design and want to see me draw its evolutions, make sure to leave a comment down below.
Clamperl, the suitcase Pokemon. Clamperl lives in dense urban areas and likes to hide in office spaces where it can easily blend in. It feeds on food leftovers at night. Despite looking like a suitcase, its shell is almost indestructible, and it almost always keeps it tightly shut. Forcing it open requires an iron grip, and it immediately attacks anyone who manages to do so, usually by exploding.
So there we have it, 3 bomb Pokemon. And as is tradition, I got some of my friends together to react to them.
Stop.
Oh, he's a little sleepy guy. He's a little sleepy bomb.
Hey, what's that? What's that on your hand? Yo, what the hell is that? Is that a bug?
Congratulations, you've made it to the end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, etc, etc. And if you have any ideas of your own of what I should draw next, feel free to comment down below. Bye bye.